Sure got quiet. That way, Ryan, go, baby. I'm going to be quiet. Good afternoon. Welcome to the City Council meeting for Tuesday, April the 5th. We've got a fun agenda for everybody tonight. A little bit about what we're going to do in a minute. Jen's going to do the invocation and the pledge. That'll be followed by a recognition, two, one with A-Lings and one with the Space Cowboys. So we're going to have a good time with both those. Let's go ahead and move. Jen, you ready? Invocation.
Please rise for the invocation, please. We bow our heads in prayer today and ask for the protection and well-being of our residents, for those who live, work, and visit our city, for our local businesses to prosper so that we may all prosper in a thriving economy, for our administrators, teachers, support staff, and all the students of our schools, and protect our police, fire, and first responders that they continue to perform their jobs safely and with perseverance. For our city officials, our mayor, our council members, board and committee members, and all the volunteers across the city that contribute their talent to serve wisely and with integrity. I pray for the protection, well-being, and blessing of each one. Amen.
Amen.
And now for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first recognition is to A-Lings for receiving the Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce Community Spirit Award. And I'm going to ask Lynn Yan to come down, please. She's going to say a few words. I'm also going to ask Gary Yan, if he'll come down, Irfan Motawala, Yalin Motawala, Sajid Motawala, and Alifia Motawala, and Juliet Nesmith with the Chamber. If you could all come down here, please. Who's speaking? Oh, yeah. Come on, everybody come. Don't be afraid of the camera. All right, come on down. You don't have to all bunch up and kind of spread out a little bit. Let people see you.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor Joe Zimmerman and City Council members. We are humbled and honored by this recognition. COVID has been a trying time for our community and country. Thousands of medical professionals, first responders, and teachers were and still are at the front lines fighting this deadly virus, many a times without regard to their safety and well-being. This recognition is for all those unsung heroes. We cannot thank them enough for their service. Thank you.
We've got a certificate of recognition. The certificate of recognition is presented to A-Lings Chinese Bistro for receiving the Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce 2021 Community Spirit Award. A-Lings Chinese Bistro embodies the soul, essence, and energy of the Community Spirit Award. This chamber member is in hospitality, a segment of our business community that suffered greatly in the last couple of years. Despite their own challenges, they wanted to make a difference and took immediate action. They decided to do everything they could to support the frontline heroes who are putting their lives at risk every day by serving hot and delicious meals to those representatives. You got one of your fans right there. To date, they have donated over 20,000 meals. Let me say that again. Donated over 20,000 meals to hospitals and schools in the surrounding area, which have all been recipients of their generosity. Additionally, they have provided meals to various COVID-19 vaccine clinics all over the county, as well as police and fire departments. They have been recognized by both cities and the state of Texas, and there is no better fit for this award than Ailing's Chinese Bistro. Above all else, Ailing's is known for their open arms and kind hearts, and this is presented by me as the mayor of Sugar Land and our city council. Congratulations. Council, if we could all come down, let's get Mona. I know. Okay, well, come on, Apurva. Come on, Steph. Come on, y'all. Come on down, ladies. Come on. Yeah, we've got. Come on. Council, go get the back. Wait, you and I are always in the back. There we go.
All right, great. Everyone, let me ready, please. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Last one. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Can we get one with Orion? I think Orion needs to be. Come on, Orion. Let's make Cowboy days.
Right here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Ryan, are you terrorizing the little ones? Come on now. Our second recognition tonight is Our second recognition tonight. Let me get Amy Johnson down here. Come on, Amy, come on down. Megan, Aaron, Ryan, come on, get down here. That way I know what you're doing. Economic development. Bring everybody from economic development, bring those babies down here. You can tell economic development's been busy during the pandemic. This is a real special occasion. This is for April the 12th, which is when we're going to open the season, and we're going to open it. It's going to be Sugar Land Space Cowboys Day here in Sugar Land, Texas. Devin, I'm going to get you to do the honors. You want me to? I'll trade you. You didn't know I was going to call.
No, I was just going to say that, you know, in 2021, we had our dream of AAA baseball become a reality. And now we are really excited to have a rebrand of the Sugar Land Space Cowboys. Excited for our community to come out on April 12th and experience, you know, what makes Sugar Land so special, not only in the Sugar Land residents, but Fort Bend County and larger. We want to welcome everybody out. And so we couldn't help but bring our own Space Cowboys along for the ride tonight. And we've got lots of staff in the audience that are also sporting our employee t-shirts in excitement for opening day.
We've got a proclamation. Sugar Land Space Cowboys Day on April the 12th of 2022. Whereas Constellation Field is the culmination of many years of dedicated work by citizens as well as public and private partners. The initial vision for the venue was developed by the City of Sugar Land's Visioning Task Force in 2007, who created a list of desired entertainment and destination amenities for our city. And in October of 2010, the formal agreements with both opening day partners and Johnson Development Corporation, the Imperial Redevelopment District, were approved by the City Council for the development and operation of a minor league ballpark, Constellation Field. In 2012, Constellation Field officially opened as the home to the Sugar Land Skeeters Professional Independent League baseball team and has welcomed over 350,000 visitors annually to various events. In 2021, the Visioning Task Force dream of Constellation Field becoming home to a AAA baseball team came true after the Sugar Land Skeeters were officially acquired by the Houston Astros and renamed their AAA affiliate, the Sugar Land Space Cowboys. In early 2022, Sugar Land Skeeters further solidified their affiliation with the Astros and rebranded to the Space Cowboys. This proclamation is in celebration of the Space Cowboys and their opening day on April the 12th, 2022. Would, Ryan, you want to say something?
I just want to mirror what Devin said and say that on behalf of the Space Cowboys, we're so excited and thankful for the support that we have from the city of Sugar Land. It's so great seeing the t-shirts, and the campaign that you guys have done with all the local businesses has been fantastic, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody out next Tuesday.
We're looking forward to opening this thing up, game day. Let's get some pictures, Council, if you come down, and let's get staff. You guys got on your shirts? Come on down. Everybody, come on. Ryan, we got to have you front and center. There we go. Don't be shy.
Right here. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. All right, thank y'all.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll see you. Yeah. We'll talk more later.
Let everybody clear. We're going to move on now to item number 2, public comment. Public comment is for anyone to speak on any one of the agenda items that doesn't have a public hearing. So we'll make a call for anybody that would like to address council on one of the agenda items. Anybody?
Mr. Mayor, we had no one sign up in advance.
No one signed up, Thomas?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Let's move on. Let's go to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is going to be taken as one motion for all the items on the consent agenda unless a council member pulls an item, at which time we'll take action on only that agenda item. Do I have a motion? Got a motion by Jacobson. Do I have a second? Got a second by Kermally. If you'll vote at this time, please. And we have should have a 6-0 vote with Ms. Watley missing. She has an excused absence. Item number 4, public hearing. 4A, receive and hear all persons interested in the proposed standards of care for the City of Sugar Land Parks and Recreation Department's recreational youth programs. We're going to have a brief presentation by Heather Blue Jacket, our recreation manager. Heather?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. It has been 2 long years that we've not been able to have our summer day camp program, but we are excited finally for this summer to be able to offer that again to y'all. In doing so, that brings us back here. What we have to do is to file for an exemption for that program. To give a little bit of background, basically the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services is the state agency that regulates all of the child care licensing for any organization with children to make sure that they're safe. Because of the fact that our recreation program or our summer day camp is recreation in nature and not an actual daycare facility, the state requires that we file for an exemption. In doing so, we have to have an ordinance created and actually adopted by council. What that ordinance does is it has the minimum standards that we have to operate by for the program to happen. The exemption criteria is basically that we are having the public hearing that I'm standing here before you. The ordinance has been done. It's ordinance number 2260. Once that gets approved, the only other thing we have to do is to make sure that we have those standards available to the public at all times, including all the guardians, the parents, and any participants that we have in any of our programming. Some of the criteria that's in our standards of care, just to give you a little bit of feedback on that. So the staffing ratios, the state minimum is a 10-to-1, which we do for our program. The facility requirements, our program is held at the beautiful Imperial Park Recreation Center. So some of that is restrooms, water fountains, things like that. In regards to the health safety standards, monitoring and enforcement, we have our counselors. They're hired through our Human Resources Department, and so they go through background checks, drug screening. We go through about 2 weeks of extensive training, CPR, first aid. So we meet all of that criteria as well. The required actions to file for the exemption for the state, again, just to summarize, are to propose the standards of care, to have the standards of care adopted through the ordinance, and then we will file that through the state and have them available to all of the individuals. That's it.
Yeah. Excuse me, Heather. We used to do this. Excuse me. By law, we have to do this every year, I believe, don't we?
Yes, every single year we have
And
to,
then-
but again, we've been gone for 2.
Been gone for 2 years, so we haven't been doing it. So for some of the newer council members, it's something that we'll continue to do every year
Yes, sir.
about this time. Okay. At this time, we're going to go ahead and open to public hearing. Anybody that would like to make a comment on this particular agenda item?
Mr. Mayor, we have no one signed up in advance.
No one
either.
signed up, Thomas?
No, sir.
Second call in the audience. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing, and we're going to move to consideration and action. First consideration and action on City of Sugar Land ordinance number 2260, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, adopting the standards of care for the City of Sugar Land Parks and Recreation Department's recreational youth programs. Council members, any questions of Heather? Do I have a motion? Got a motion by McCutcheon. Do I have a second? Got a second by Lane. You vote at this time, please. There we go, and it's a 6-0 vote. Thank you, council members.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Item number 5, contracts and agreements. 5A, consideration of and action on authorization of a contract with Wade Kahn LLC in the amount of $2,532,712 for the River Bend Inlets and Pipe Replacement Project, CIP CDR 1902. Guillermo Sacedo, our Senior Engineering Manager. Guillermo.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. Tonight, for your consideration, is the Riverbend Inlet and Pipe Replacement Project, CIP CDR 1902. Just a little background. During the harvest, this area here at the Riverbend didn't experience any excessive ponding. This project will address the excessive ponding issues that they had in the area. This was a 2019 GEO bond founded in FY21. The design was completed in January 2022. This is a project location. It considers 5 portions. The project is divided in 5 different areas. Lexington to the top of the page, running from east to west, and then Dulles to the east portion of the project. This is all the Riverbend area. The project scope, the 5 areas within the Riverbend area neighborhood, they all have a similar scope of work. The installation reinforced concrete pipe varying from 24-inch to 54-inch in diameter. Remove and replace the existing inlets and lateral storm sewer lines to tie to the existing and proposed storm sewer system throughout the Riverbend neighborhood. The bid phase, this invitation to bid was advertised in January 26th and February 2nd, 2022. We opened 3 bids in February 10, 2022. This is a summary of the bids and the construction selection. As you can see, the base bid varies from 2.5 to 2.7, and the add alternative between 1.6 and 1.5, add alternative 2 about $1 million, and out 3 about between $500,000 and $600,000. As you can see, the low bidders waited home. The reason that we did this 3 alternatives is to be able to maximize and stretch our budget. As you can see, Waiticom is the low bidder for this project. Mr. Colby Anderson and Oscar Padilla is back there representing Waiticom. We have worked with them with several projects. They are currently working in 2 projects. One is my project, Montclair, and they are doing pretty good. We got a good relation with them.
Good.
Project funding, construction bid, a base bid, and this, which area 1 and 5 is $2.5 million. Material testing, construction admin, and 5% contingency about $196,000. The total estimate for the project cost is about $2.7 million. Our fund is available is about $3.1 million, and the remaining funds will be used on a future GEO bond for drainage project. I also like to add that for the bid alternative, we are working with intergovernmental department seeking for a grant with the 2022 Federal Legislative Strategic Visionary Community Projects. We will have advantage when we're looking for this grant, since we have the projects already designed. So they're typically looking for a shell-ready project. So that's advantage for us. If we don't find any fundings through that program, we will look for other programs that we can, other grants that we can add those add alternatives. Now you might ask a question, why we decided to do, 3 different alternatives. Again, it was 2 reasons. One for a budget, because, it was budget constraint, but there's 2 reasons. The one, The one reason is the consultant provided, during the design phase, they provided us a good price for the design of the 5 areas. So we went ahead and moved forward with the complete design. And the second reason, what I mentioned before, that we were looking for grants, and they typically ask for projects that be already designed, shovel, and ready to go. A project schedule notice to proceed is tentative for May 2022. Substantial completion about 150 calendar days. We anticipated the completion of this project by November 2022. Project impact, it will be partial, this construction project required the removal of some pipes and installation of new pipes, so we will have some detours with some driveway access that we coordinate with the residents. But we're not expecting any mail delivery interruption, trash pickup interruption, or any water or sewer interruption during the process of this project. Project notification as per policy CO 110. Public outreach meeting, we already contact the First Calling Community Association. They are aware of the project coming up. We always put it on city webpage, mail out letter, message signage, door hangings, and one-on-one door communication. I like to add that the one-on-one communication, I think we have one of the best inspectors in the state of Texas, and they always go the extra mile to serve the residents and to see what they need during all the construction. I know it's always inconvenient, but our inspectors are very good doing their job. So staff recommend the authorization of the construction contract with Wacom LLC for the base bid in the amount of $2,532,712 for the construction of the CIP CDR 1902 Riverbend Inlet and Pipe Replacement Project. And with that,
Questions
I'll
of
answer any
Guillermo?
questions.
Stuart?
Yeah, Mayor, on behalf of the lovely and picturesque District 3, the district that sets the standards for all other districts in Sugar Land, I move to approve this contract.
Got a motion by Jacobson. Do I have a second? Absolutely.
Guillermo, you said areas 1 and 5, and then that's what's going to get done on this portion of it.
That's correct.
Areas 2, 3, and 4, were they part of the GEO bond as well?
The only part of the GEO bond was the Lexington portion. Let me go, if I can go to the map.
Yeah, if you can show that if you don't mind.
Let me see, how do I get back here? You know how do I get back? Good question, when we saw it. Oh, this
Someone just jumped the gun to,
No.
my friend there.
Oh, went too far. Hey.
Right there, perfect.
Yeah, so the GEO bond, it was this portion here. Now, we did a study for the whole area, okay? So when we talked to the consultant, and he said, well, they read the report, and the drainage study was in 2018, and it included the whole area. For the GEO bond, we did this portion here along Lexington, and I think it's River, I forgot the name of the street, but there's a lot of ponding here, extensive ponding. So this is the area that we really wanted to get into. But since the consultant provided us a good price for the design, we went ahead and did the five areas.
So we went above and beyond because we got good pricing because our staff did.
That's correct.
Mayor, I'll second the motion.
Okay, got a second by Kermali. I've got a question, Guillermo. Of the bond approved drainage projects, is this the last one?
I think, can you repeat that one more time?
Of the drainage projects that were included in the bond referendum in 2019, is this the last project, or do we have another one?
We're doing the Montclair, I'm not sure if we're doing the Graywood, that's another GEO bond project. This one, Jesse probably knows that. Thank you, Jesse.
Hi, Jesse. Jesse's our city engineer.
Yeah.
Good evening. We have 10 drainage projects included in 2019 GEO bond. We have 4 under construction, including this one. And we have, including this one, we have, 4 under construction and 5 under design. And 1 is a study we are moving forward as well. So 10 drainage projects we touch on already,
Okay.
all of them.
When do we think we'd get the rest of them into construction, Jesse?
There's one big one in Jimistone and Austin Park, which is the $16.5 million
That's the one that
project.
comes down the right of way. Right?
Correct. correct. Currently in the design, so we plan to start construction sometime next year. And Montclair Phase 2 is scheduled for construction FY24. And Covington West, City Council just approved the design this year.
Yes.
Construction next year as well.
Okay, so we're working hard at it. Okay,
Yes.
As always.
thank you, Jesse. Anybody else? Question?
Thank you, Jesse.
You got a motion? I've got a motion by Jacobson. I've got a second by Carmali. You vote at this time, please. And it's a 6-0 vote. Thank you, council members.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guillermo. Item number 5B, consideration of an action on authorization of a lease agreement by and between Go Ape Brazos River Park LLC and the city of Sugar Land, Texas for adventure facilities located on 19 acres within Brazos River Park. We have with us Joe Cheshire, our Director of Parks and Rec. Joe.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. Back in the fall of 21, Vernon West, the CEO of Go Ape, approached the city, and Vernon's here tonight. Vernon West with Go Apes here. He approached us with the idea of partnering on treetop adventure down at Brazos River Park. He'd seen the site, he knows the area, and thinks it's really ripe for this type of facility. So we started entering into discussions on that. And so, oh, sorry, I gotta click first and then go. Okay. So you're probably asking, what is Go Ape? So Go Ape is one of the original developers and operators of aerial obstacle and zipline courses. They're also a market leader in this type of facility. It's basically a forest-based pay-to-play physical adventure. It gets people up in the treetops, gets them out in nature. It's environmentally friendly development of the site. And there's 14 of these locations currently operating in the United States right now. Oops, sorry. The closest one is in Plano, Texas, and it's been open since 2016. You can see they're all basically all over the East and coming into the Midwest. They've also completed recently an agreement with the city of Arlington, Texas, and are starting to get underway on that one as well. It's basically, there's sort of 3 different levels of development that we're looking at here. One is called Go Ape Treetop Adventures, which is zip lines and really kind of the highest climbing elements up in the tree canopy. And then the treetop journey is basically sort of geared for younger kids, families, and kind of beginners if they're not ready to kind of go on the more advanced facilities. And then another interesting aspect of the development would be axe throwing, which has become a very popular activity. And surprisingly enough, we had somebody call 311 just the other day asking if we were going to have any axe throwing in Sugar Land. So there's people out there that are interested in it and are even calling to ask about it. So,
William, did you call?
So, of course, with all this, activities, safety is of a key concern. So they work through a lot of details and have 20-year record of developing and operating facilities globally. They also have facilities in the United Kingdom as well. So they've been operating for 20 years and know how to make them safe. And Vernon talked to me through the whole process about you're hooked in double locations on cables, so you're never unhooked. You always have one line, and if you go from one element to another, you always keep one hooked. So it's kind of a double safety element to the zip line and course that you're on. And also, participants, when they go out before they start, get a full in-depth instructions and hands-on training by the employees that work at the site and watch out for over the people that are up on the elements. And also there's internal and external inspections that go on throughout the year, and they contract with a group called the Association of Challenge Course Technology. Their inspectors come out annually to look at the course itself. And then since it's up in the trees and a lot of the connections are on trees, they bring out certified arborists to also come out and check the trees annually just to see how the connections are and make sure everything's still safe. And in doing a comparison of a lot of the sports and activities that you see typically in a park system, it actually comes in as much lower injuries than you see in some of the other sports like soccer, football, baseball, and those kind of activities. We looked into the kind of the customer feedback that for people who have been on the courses, and what they liked about it and what they'd like to see. So 98% of the people that were surveyed felt like these were good additions to their park where they were located, and 89% say would like to see an expansion of what's there. And then just general online reviews of Go Ape for all their locations have been very positive. The location that we're looking at is adjacent to existing parking and restroom facilities there at Brazos River Park. It's easy access off of US 59, and then with the extension of the park road from University Boulevard, so it's got really good access, and it's right next to a heavily wooded area. There's some wetlands there that had to be included in this, but they're left out of the activities that'll go on there. They'll primarily be outside of the wetlands, but we needed to get the zip lines across the pond there that you see in the picture, so that's why that area is included in there. These are just some photos of the general area that it's going to go. It'll go in adjacent, the sales office will go in adjacent to the restroom building, and it will start basically on this picture on the upper left, and then you can see the tree canopy. Vern's already had his designers out and looked at it, and they're really impressed with the tree canopy that's there and think it'll be a very nice course. Here's a little bit more of a zoom in on the particular area and layout. They call it the cabin. It's kind of their sales office and where they harness people and get ready to go onto the course. You can see the axe throwing's right next to the cabin, so it's got good supervision and a close proximity there. We've got sample zip lines that you see in the red line, which are the shorter ones, and then the Treetop Adventure and Treetop Journey courses primarily in the treed area, just kind of just in this general area, right, all in through here. And then the bigger zip lines go across the lake right here. And the lake, it's one of the lakes that was dug early on. It's kind of a borrow pit, but it holds water year round. It's a pretty attractive pond. So here's just the next few slides are just some character images. This is just one of the examples of their cabin. The one that's in Plano, I went up and visited that one in Plano. It's a very different kind of design than this, so there's some flexibility there. We'll look at having them match up kind of what's at the restroom facility now architecture-wise. And then you can see the axe throwing's totally enclosed, so it makes it for a contained environment there. Where the participants will climb up into the treetops, it's on the stairwells like this, and to keep people off of it at times when they're not open, that's why it has the fenced enclosure there, so those can be locked up in non-use hours. And so it's kind of an example of the design level that goes into developing the design for the course and how it goes up into the treetop canopy there. And here's just some other kind of character photos of some of the zip lines, or not the zip lines, but some of the climbing elements up in the treetop. So you can see they're not at the very tip top of the trees, but they're up kind of up into the canopy, probably 30, 40 feet off the ground. Just see, and from this picture you can kind of see where the double connections are for the hooks to keep people hooked into the cables. And then just, we're going to try to capitalize on some nice views down towards the river, and then just up in the tree canopy itself. So for facility operations, Go Ape is responsible for all the technology that they will need to outfit their facility, all the point of sale activities, the equipment services required for the course, the cabin itself, and it'll offer some merchandise sales and beverages, non-alcoholic beverages. They will provide all the staffing, training, and all that, course inspections, safety plans, any brush clearing that needs to be done in association to the tree canopy, any marketing issues, directional signage, and billings, utility bills that they take on. For the city will be responsible for providing the site. That's part of the lease agreement. Will allow parking in our existing parking, use of the restrooms, and access to electricity for the cabin, which is already on site and close to that area. We'll take care of trash and recycling from our existing dumpsters and facilities that we have there. And then we anticipate very minimal additional mowing as part of this development. So the financial aspects of the agreement are it's 15 years with options for additional 5-year term. GoApe will fully fund the cost of the facility. They will make quarterly payments to the city for a total of $12,000 a year, and that'll cover all of our maintenance costs associated with the facility. And then there will be a 4% on the gross revenues, and that's estimated at a minimum of $1.24 million a year. So we'd be receiving approximately $50K from that, and it would go up as their sales go up, their gross revenue goes up, that would go up as well. And then in addition to the $12,000 a year. We have a trigger later on in the agreement that would absorb the $12,000, but that's when it gets much higher up. So the project benefits, we're always looking for positive public-private partnerships that we can enhance what we offer for the citizens of the city. So we felt like this is a really good opportunity to add an activity for families and individuals to enjoy. It's a physical activity. It should be good for mental health. It could promote team building. It would be a fun thing to have for church groups or company corporate retreats and things to come out and enjoy the course. And we think it'll draw customers from throughout the South Texas region, so it makes it more of a destination facility for the city. That kind of ties into our whole placemaking ideas within the city of Sugar Land. Also, one of the things that we're trying to do is bring in additional revenue and business, which this would do, and just generally make the park an even greater asset. When we completed the Parks and Recreation and Open Space Master Plan in 2018, there were a lot of goals established in the master plan. So we felt like a lot of the goals established in the master plan dovetail really nicely with the GoApe public-private partnership. So what we're looking at is schedule-wise is we finished up the lease agreement here in March. Shay Smith's here tonight. She was our city attorney from the city attorney's office on that helped put that lease agreement together. We've worked on it for quite a few months to pull that all together. GoApe has been looking already at course design and site planning. We also met with our permit office and planning office and engineering office just to kind of do our due diligence on how this would work there in the Brazos River corridor and the floodway area. So very confident based on their input that we can finalize the design and get everything developed. We'll have tree inspections, completing engineering drawings by August, and hoping to go to construction September, October for probably an early 23 opening. So with that, staff recommends approval of a lease agreement with GoApe, Brazos River Park LLC, and be happy to answer any questions.
Question. Stuart?
Thank you, Mayor. Joe, is there an inflation escalation on the base rent?
No, there's not.
Okay, thank you.
William?
I love the idea. You know that. Hey, silly question. So where the food and beverage will be located, that would be advantageous for the other activities in our park?
Correct.
I'm assuming others would have access to that area?
When they are open, yes.
Okay, and because I've not taken the GoApe climb in Plano yet, I can only assume it's very tree friendly.
It is, yes.
Because a lot of people are going to be concerned, are we going to hurt our trees? I'm
That's
assuming
one,
from
right. That's one of the
conversation.
main reasons. And we have arborists on our staff.
Sure.
William Hodgick's one of our arborists on our staff, and he's been out there with their designers too. So, yeah, and they do annual inspections of the trees, and so yeah, they want the trees to stay healthy too, because it just makes the whole experience better.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Carol?
And this is a fabulous idea, which would go in the funnest district in the city, Stewart, District 4. So, but, I just had a question. I guess I'm a little bit surprised, like Stewart, that the base rent doesn't have any escalation over the 15-year time, particularly how rampant inflation is. But did we look at any of the any lease agreements from any other cities to see how our lease terms compare with theirs?
This agreement was very much based on the City of Plano's agreement with them and the City of Arlington's. We've got copies of both of those from both of those cities and tailored it very much after those agreements.
Thank you.
Good shot.
The tree question was asked, but I'm going to ask it a little differently. Are we going to lose any trees?
It's certainly not our intention to. It'll probably require some pruning of trees and trimming, but we're going to definitely try to minimize it, because that's the whole point, is to try to be up in a nice tree canopy.
Sure. And then on your overlay, you had shown a potential zip line over water. Is that going to be there, or is it?
That's the plan. It will
Plan
be
is
over
that,
that water.
the zip line
Right,
over water.
yes.
Well, that's the reason I would go.
Okay.
Cameras, will they have cameras to make sure that nothing crazy is going on in the middle of the night? And
Yeah, come on up. Yeah, Mr.
Welcome, Vernon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. No, so in the middle of the night, we don't have cameras. We do have monitors that kind of monitor the guests as they move through the equipment. And obviously we do closing checks, which include making sure that all entry points are locked, and we change the combination code each night, and then that's the new code that's used for the next day. So, you know, there are one or two park partners we work with, one in Chicago where the park is in an area where you might need this, that have a security person that walks around, but that's atypical and I don't think would be necessary here. And just to return to the tree question, so in the UK there are 35 courses, we've got 14 here in the US, 12-year track record here, 20-year track record there. I mean, to the best of our knowledge, we've not lost a tree. There's two methods of affixing to trees. One is through bolting, so you put a bolt through the heart of a tree, and you gradually, as the tree goes, you let out the platform versus the bolt. That is not great for the trees, as you know, probably common sense would tell you. The method we use are compression straps. So, you know, picture wire ropes with staves, which are wooden struts that go around the tree. And again, we monitor the trees and we just gradually let out. I think we've actually saved a few trees. So one of the mission, the points of Go Abe, is to encourage people to get out in nature. So we tend to have staff that are very environmentally conscious and believe strongly that, you know, we need to look after nature and get people out in it so we preserve it for future generations. And that's generally a sort of principle to which we adhere. And so we will keep an eye on root compaction, we will keep an eye for beetle infestations, we will keep an eye and point out to staff members, or even, you know, in conjunction with city staff members, dead limb trees. So there are various aspects that we can point to that have to do with our stewardship of the natural resources that we're lucky enough to work with. So hopefully that helps. We care about the trees a lot too.
That helps. Thank you very much. And then this will not be open at night. I'm assuming it's open during the day.
Yeah, we're not planning to do it at night. It's worth saying we do at some of our other courses. We've started open for a sort of a twilight hour, with some fixed wire and lightings just on our junior course. So on the less challenging and adventurous elements, to provide a different customer experience. But that tends to be after we've been open for a few years in conjunction with the partner, when everyone's confident, and then, you know, we're not planning to do that day one.
No further questions. Okay.
Jennifer?
So risk management has reviewed the insurance levels and all of that. I'm just curious about your safety record and any near misses or any accidents that you may have learned from. in any of your other locations?
Yeah, we're pretty obsessive about tracking accident and near-miss data. So for every site, we, I could tell you just really random things like, 45% of our injuries are landing site injuries, and of them, around 50% are knees or ankles. So obviously, in our training, based on the data, we very much focus on knees and ankles. The main risk that you're concerned with and landing style, which is to say, the reason people have injuries is they will try and pivot towards the front. So the training is if you're coming in absolutely dead straight, you run, otherwise you drag. And if you follow that, you don't get injured. It's fair to say a number of the injuries we've had are people with pre-existing medical conditions. So normally what happens is we have an ankle injury, we investigate it, and the guest will tell staff that actually, I broke my ankle a couple of years ago. We find that is quite prevalent, unfortunately. There's nothing we can do about that, but it's a disclosable fact, and we managed it through with the loss adjusters. As Joe says, statistically, this is very, very safe. You probably drove here. Risk taking is inherent to life. Our job is to absolutely minimise the risk. And the main risk at height, and the risk that keeps me up at night, is that someone has a fall from height. So the safety system here, as Joe alluded to, is a continuous belay trolley, which you should never be able to extract that from the steel cable, because the gate on the trolley is about a third the diameter of the cable. But just in case, we have a redundant carabiner that acts as a second line. So that is the risk that one worries about the most, and having redundancy in the system. And we've never seen the trolley that we use be extracted from a cable, either on a course or in a sort of simulated stressed testing environment. So we do stress test all the equipment. So we know that a carabiner breaks, for example, at 15 kilonewtons. So we've stress tested quarantine carabiners and trolleys and pieces of wire rope, because that's one of the safety measures we have to undertake.
Anyone else? William, I'm throwing down the challenge glove to you when we get that up.
I'll take your challenge all the way to Plano if you're ready.
Well, let's do it.
Me, you, and Orion.
Yeah. All right, we'll get Orion.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Your vote at this time, please. There we go. It's a 6-0 vote. Thank you, Vernon. Thank you, Joe. Item number 6, ordinances and resolutions. 6A, consideration of an action on City of Sugar Land Resolution number 2213, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, establishing a legislative citizen task force and the roles and responsibilities of the task force. We have with us Rick Ramirez, our Intergovernmental Relations Manager. Rick.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Today we're going to be talking about the creation of the Legislative Citizen Task Force. I'm going to go over the development of our legislative agenda. I'll also talk about the task force membership and task force roles and responsibilities. I'll give you some next steps, and then we'll go over Resolution 2213. So the IGR office is currently in the process of updating the city's legislative agenda. The state legislature meets every 2 years, and that's outlined here in this legislative cycle that I've given you. In the even-numbered years, that's when the city starts the development of our legislative agenda. We go from April all the way to October, which is when we'll be back with you guys to adopt the legislative agenda. During this time, staff is also monitoring interim charges that can be issued from the Lieutenant Governor and the Speaker of the House. We're reacting to those, and we are in constant communication with the IG Committee as we go through that. As we adopt the legislative agenda in October and get ready for the legislative session, we hop into the odd numbered years when the regular session happens for the state legislature. The state legislature is 140 days regular legislative session that starts in January, ends in May. And then there's also the possibility of 30-day special sessions that can be called by the governor at any time. So one of the primary function of the IGR office is to coordinate the development of the legislative agenda. As you can see, the community and business considerations, we have our city departments review the legislative agenda, and they look for areas that we can tweak the legislative agenda to be better in line with current events and things that are happening in the legislature during the interim session. A relatively new component of the legislative agenda development process is what we're going to be talking to you tonight, which is the addition of the legislative task force. Last year, we did do a pilot program that was a city manager's task force. This is going to be a city council task force. This is going to be composed of a citizen group that's going to provide the community engagement component of the agenda process. And tonight, council is going to be acting on the creation of this task force. Once we've engaged with the legislative task force, the IGR manager, which is me, will work with the IG committee, which is the council subcommittee in charge of preparing a draft legislative agenda for city council to act on. Next, we will bring the agenda to the full city council in 2 public meetings. One is a workshop to review the agenda in detail, and the other is the adoption of the agenda, which is in October. And finally, the IGR office leads the implementation of the legislative agenda during the Texas legislative session. As you can see, there's multiple opportunities here for the public to get involved with our legislative agenda process. And this helps us ensure that when we engage at the legislature, that we do so with community input. And so essentially, when we go to Austin, we're representing our community. We did meet with the IG committee in March, and the IG committee recommended a 13-member task force representing diverse backgrounds and interests. There would be 2 homeowners, 6 representing local businesses, 2 representing boards and commissions, 1 Sugarland 101, either alumni or a current student of Sugarland 101, somebody from an HOA, and then a student of 18 years of age or older. We do have an exception in this resolution. It's an exception to policy 3009 to allow a local business to be able to serve on the legislative task force. And so that's included in the resolution that you're going to be acting on tonight. We also discussed with the IG committee the roles and responsibilities for the legislative task force. First, they'd review and provide feedback on our current legislative position statements. Second, they would provide a unique citizen perspective through discussions with other task force members, with city staff, and city partners that we would bring along in those discussions. And then they would make a recommendation on the state legislative agenda for city council for consideration. Now, these first 3 is what we would be doing leading up to the adoption of the legislative agenda. And the next 2 would be what would happen after the adoption of the legislative agenda. So we also would be looking for the LTF, or the Legislative Task Force, to serve as advocates for the community during the legislative session. If there's a topic that we know that an LTF member was particularly vocal on and wanted to provide their opinion, we make sure that they understand that there's opportunities at the legislature for them to make their voices heard, and we provide them with the tools to be able to do that. Also, they would attend monthly meetings during the legislative session to receive legislative updates from me and to provide feedback on legislative issues. We would take that feedback to the IG committee when we meet monthly with the IG committee. So kind of the next steps here. Here in April, the City Council is going to be acting on the resolution to create the Citizen Task Force. We would initiate, starting at the end of this week, the Legislative Citizen Task Force recruitment process. And in April and May, we would have some info sessions for applicants, and the application deadline would be in May. Also in May, the IG committee would take all of those applications and make a recommendation for City Council. In June, City Council would appoint the new Legislative Task Force, and in July, we would start their orientation, and we would start all the meetings. So with that, staff would like to recommend the approval of Resolution 2213, establishing the Legislative Task Force and roles and responsibilities.
Questions, Rick? Carol?
I serve on the IG committee, and the IG committee fully supports this opportunity for our citizens to get involved with the city's legislative agenda. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Got a motion by McCutcheon. Do I have a second? Second by Lane. Vote this time, please. And it's a 6-0 vote. Thank you, council members.
Thank you.
Before we go to the next item, I'd like to recognize we have some scouts in the back of the room. Tia, could you bring the microphone back, and if you all would introduce yourself, what badge you're working on? You thought you got away, didn't you? What badge you're working on and what troop you're with.
My name is Corrales Cortez, and I'm working on communication.
Thank you.
My name is Hannah Macbeth, and I'm working on citizenship in the community. My name is Yoreli Cortez, and I am working on communication.
And you've got your scoutmaster there, if she'd introduce herself.
She's not the scoutmaster, she's the assistant scoutmaster.
Oh, the assistant scout. Oh. Well, she's the one that showed up, so she's got the title.
My name is Rebecca, and I'm just here supporting my girls.
Thank y'all for coming tonight. Moving on to item number 6B, consideration of and action on the City of Sugar Land Resolution number 2214. Resolution of the City Council of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, expressing intent to finance expenditures to be incurred and authorization of a budget amendment in the amount of $2,850,000 to revenues and expenditures. We have our own Jennifer Brown, our Director of Finance, and Beth Rosenbaum, our Director of Aviation. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. All right, so just a brief background of what we're doing this evening. So when the city issues tax exempt bonds, we issue them to fund land acquisition or capital improvements where it's not prudent for us to pay cash for those projects or the acquisition. That allows us to spread the payment of the capital project over a 20-year period, or which is typically at least as long as the project. A lot of times the project will have a longer useful life than the bonds are issued for. And that allows us to spread the cost across generations. A lot of times the benefits of projects will be felt not only by today's residents, but by residents 15 to 20 years down the road. And that helps us to allocate our resources to the highest priority projects. And so that's just kind of in general why we issue tax exempt bonds. So we do fund our projects through debt, and that helps us result in those capital assets. We don't use debt to fund rehabilitation or maintenance or operating costs. I think people sometimes will think of debt and they think of like the Treasury, and they're using Treasury bills to finance the operations of the federal government. We do not do that. We only use debt to finance capital projects. The city has a very high bond rating. In this particular case, for this airport issue that we're talking about this evening, it would carry the city's AAA bond rating that is carried on our tax-backed debt, even though the airport fund is going to be fully supporting the repayment of the debt. We do have aggressive repayment schedules. We typically will have a flat level principal payment, and the city's high bond rating allows us to borrow at the lowest possible rates. That also helps us to minimize the interest costs because we pay 50% of the principal in the first half of the maturity schedule, and so the interest cost just continues to decline. A little background on this project. In March, you all approved a settlement agreement regarding property at Highway 6 and 90, just south of the airport. The agreement results in the city needing to make a payment of $2,850,000 to purchase the reference parcels within 6 months. We plan to issue tax-exempt COs to finance the purchase. And a little background, COs are very similar to GO bonds. They're not authorized by voters, but we use them in the case of the airport because it's a lot more cost-effective to do that than to issue airport revenue bonds. They are fully supported by airport revenues, and no property taxes outside of the airport go into repayment of these bonds. We have a project that we plan to issue debt for later this year for the airport. It's the parallel taxiway relocation and hangars ALD 4 and ALD 11. We are waiting on the bids to come in for those. Those are anticipated in the May and June timeframe. And what we'd like to do is combine this $2.8 million issue with what we need to issue for the taxiway and hangars. And so then once we have the final cost, we will know exactly how much we need to issue. We can get the COs issued and minimize our borrowing costs by being efficient and combining those into one issue. And we've already done an intent to reimburse for the taxiway and the hangars. We did that earlier this year. So IRS regulations allow the city to reimburse itself from future tax-exempt borrowings as long as we declare our intent to do so within 60 days of the first expenditure of funds. And then we have 18 months to to reimburse the expenditures after those are made. And so with your authorization of the parcels earlier in March, we now need to proceed with the intent to reimburse, as well as the budget amendment, which authorizes us to spend the funds. And so we would appropriate the funds for the project. And so the intent to reimburse is stated in Resolution 22-14. We have included issuance costs in the resolution, so it has an amount not to exceed $3 million. That is only for this $2.85 million project because the hangars and the taxiway relocation were already covered in a previous resolution. And so this will allow us to purchase the parcels within the 6 months. We want to go ahead and just get that paid, and that would probably occur in advance of the bond sale because we have public notice and public hearings that we have to hold, or public notice that we have to hold for the issuance of COs. So that allows us to get that taken care of. This resolution and the amount that we're reimbursing are referenced on the IRS forms that become part of the final transcript for the issue. So our staff recommendation is to approve Resolution 22-14 and also approve a budget amendment in the airport fund for the amount of $2,850,000 in revenues and expenditures that would recognize the bond proceeds that we would be selling later this year, as well as fund the purchase of the land through that budget amendment. And Beth is here in case you have any specific questions to the land purchase. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Elizabeth or Jennifer? No? Do I have a motion? You got a motion by Carmali. Do I have a second? Second by McCutcheon. Will at this time, please. And it passes 6-0. Thank you, council members. Item number 7, City Council City Manager Report 7A. City Council members, William, let's start with you.
You do that on purpose because you know Carol's keeping track of everything and she's making sure I give an accurate report. No, Mayor, it has been a whirlwind.
Thank you, William.
This council doesn't stop. I literally have lost track of everything that I've been to and everything I've been a part of. I'm having such a fun time, from the baseball to community events. It's just too much fun right now, if I can even say that.
Stuart.
Thank you, Mayor. I did all those things too. But I also, in reverse order, attended the unveiling of the Space Cowboys wrapped fire truck. And then I went to see you and the lovely Mike Goodrum present the State of the City address. And also you and I attended the Sugar Creek HOA meeting, actually with Ferguson and Lane as well. So those are three of the fun things that I did.
Jennifer.
I attended a very successful George Ranch High School Athletic Booster Club fundraiser over the weekend. And along with, like Stuart said, we're out and about, all out in the city.
Carol.
I attended the Sugarlands International Art and Kite Festival, again in the funnest district in the city, District 4, Stuart. The attendance was amazing, and the weather was great for flying kites. It was a really super event, so thank you to staff for a great job on that. And I attended the Sugarland Memorial Park Eagle Plaza ribbon cutting, and I'm very grateful for the generous donation by Colonel and Mrs. Bala to make that possible. And then I attended the Fort Bend Chambers Forum's alumni reunion, and I was a class of 1995 graduate. In fact, when I graduated, it was called Sugarland 2000. It was Fort Bend County 2000. So we now had to change the name, so I've been there for a long time.
Deshaun.
That was a long time ago, Carol. A long time ago. A long time ago. I did what they did, and I also attended the Harmony School in Sugarland STEAM program. Last Saturday morning, where bright 1st through 6th graders were presenting their science projects, and there were some cool science projects. I also helped coordinate with one of our partner restaurants here in town center. Mahesh's Kitchen donated meals to our police department, and I believe, Doug, they've got them coming to you this week, as well to the fire department. So I want to thank them for always being kind of like Ailings, always being a part of the community and stepping up as a new restaurant. That's it, Mayor.
Thanks, Deshaun. You know, I want to mention the Eagle Project. That was something that was the brainchild of former Mayor Thompson. He was a veteran. It recognizes the sacrifice that the men and women have lost their lives gave for the freedoms we enjoy in this country. We had some vets. We had some Vietnam vets that showed up. Jimmy was a Vietnam vet. It was we had a gentleman and his wife travel all the way from the city of Pearland to be part of that ceremony. So again, Carol, to your point, thanks to the Ballas for the lead gift. Thanks to Jimmy, Amy, and Gary Becker, John Null, and there were many others that contributed. But I thought that was a great event. Mike, 7B.
Thanks, Mayor. I had the chance to attend the Space Cowboys open house on Saturday and see all the great things the Houston Astros have done to Constellation Field, and they're a tremendous partner. I know we keep saying that, but first-class organization. Had the chance to speak to the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council yesterday, and every time I do that, I feel inadequate because I was not there when I was their age. Impressive young adults we have in this community. Want to remind everybody we have Party on the Plaza at Smart Financial Plaza starting this Thursday. It'll be the 7th, 14th, 21st, free admission, lawn games, free parking, live bands. We could have a dance-off between the mayor and William. I mean, this is
there's no competition there.
There's
no competition there. No competition at all.
Well, Mayor, we'll have to see. we'll have to see that. So, also want to publicly congratulate Terrell Smith.
Terrell,
And,
come on, Terrell, stand up, stand up.
So Terrell, well, the city of Marshall, Texas, which is a awesome city, did a national recruitment, used one of the top recruiting firms in the country, and Terrell came out on top. And we're really proud of him and in this next chapter in his life and everything he's done with our city. And we're also proud of our city's continued reputation of building tremendous leaders. And so congratulations, Terrell. So, all right. Well, it would be an upgrade, sir.
Two-year stint and then back to Sugar Land.
Yeah.
Whoa, settle down up here.
Hey,
Yeah.
that would be, well. no-
Congratulations, Terrell.
So, yep, I don't know what I was doing at 32, but it wasn't managing a city. I know that. Also, great week for Sugar Land PD. Officer Munoz was discharged from the hospital. He still has a long road, and but I also want to publicly just commend Officers Barbarick and Mitchell for essentially saving his life and the tremendous job by everybody on that scene. There was multiple accidents. The sergeants on scene, the lieutenants for managing something like that, the fire department for how quick they got there and for their care as well, and in the hospitals. And so it was also we had Good Samaritans that were part of that as well. So just wanted an exciting week for that. That's all I've got, Mayor.
All right, Mike. Any other business for the council? Got a motion to adjourn at 6:46.